question from
It's a baker's
Pool
hoard.
Early. Will you be able to trade items in your backpack with players?
Not sure if we've actually tied down what you can actually do with trading yet. A lot of that stuff is still in discussion. Like a lot of these major questions that you're going to probably ask me are things that we have yet to actually nail down, but are things that we've all talked about in our design meetings that you see. So.
So we have another really important question from Hey Zombies with a Z, and they are asking about female characters.
Yeah, they said earlier that we were going to have female characters eventually. It's something that we don't have currently, but it's something that we actually care about and something that we want to do.
Sweet, I'm looking forward to that.
I see why it's so important now. You wanted to know if you wanted to play as a female. There you go. I got it. See, I'm quick.
And Tim Meh, Eptic Meh, will the game be supported post-launch with new items and areas?
Supported. The game will obviously be supported post-launch. If you know anything,
you guys aren't leaving.
If you know anything about the company, Sony Online Entertainment, you know that all of our marquee MMOs have lasted at least 10 years. So 15 years with EverQuest. So, and it's already been what, almost 3 years with PlanetSide 2, or 2 years, 3 years.
It'll be 2 years this November.
2 years this November, and then DCO is 4 years, 3 years, almost 4 years.
Okay, Cubos underscore CZ has a follow-up on the lock question. Can vehicles be locked and kept for upgrades and customization?
Personally, I don't know that question. That's something, again, that we can figure out once we get the more vehicle gameplay
Who's
oriented.
our vehicle designer? Maybe we can ping him later.
Yeah, go ping Chris Roberts. Chris, where are you?
Later.
Are we saying no to rims?
But these questions that are coming out, these are things that are like very obvious gameplay questions that we all have talked about on the design team, and things like locks on doors, locking vehicles. It's just about fleshing out how we want to do it in our game. It's not about, are you going to have this, yes or no? You know, we're still in the phase of figuring out how we want to do these things.
Demon Wolf is asking, will you be able to write stuff on the barricades?
I hope so. I saw that they were working on decals earlier when we walked around, right?
Yeah, we'll see what kind of support we can have for the decals. I mean,
is your mic on, Jimmy?
Huh? Oh no, I'm just giving Blake the answer, but I can turn my mic on.
There you go. I think he's good now.
Am I live?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, as far as decals go, we'll see what kind of systems we can work out with that. I mean, performance being our biggest concern with this game, we want to make sure that people are able to get in at all ranges of PCs. That being said, the whole don't enter dead inside type thing is really sick, right? Or at least warning people that, you know, they're not going to have a good time if they go in, or trolling people even.
I want to, like, be able to spray out, like, a name of a sign and then write something else underneath it.
You're going to be that guy, like, actually, when you go out in the country, all these, like, broke down, turn all the names into, like, dirty things and all that?
No, it'll be, like, whatever we claim our land to be, you know?
He's going to clag it up.
That's right.
It's going to be clogged up.
A couple more questions. Let's see where to go. Will we have unique enemies, or is it just kept to zombies?
Well, if you want to go ahead.
There's wildlife, there's people, and there's zombies. I mean, there's going to be different zombies in there. Right now, we only have that one zombie type in. You saw earlier what our character artist, Matt Broom, was working on. We will have multiple zombie types in there. Some of them may act a little bit differently throughout the game, based on circumstance, time alive, things like that. The wildlife, obviously, right now we have the wolfin is an enemy, a little scary, and then beyond that, players, obviously. To me, still, I mean, are the scariest enemy. We're very intelligent, and well, most of us are pretty smart when it comes to video games, so they're going to be the scariest opponents.
Oh yeah, humans by far are the most scary target in a game like this.
But that doesn't necessarily mean the most dangerous.
They can also be your best ally.
That's true. It's true.
So
Depends on how you like to play, right?
yeah, exactly. Depends on how you meet with them and talk to them and who they are.
Cool. And from Saz Gaming, will players have food drinking bars, like showing if it's low or not? And I know this is a big topic of discussion internally.
Right now, currently in the game that you're seeing, it's hidden on the HUD, but it's on a menu. But we haven't really, this is actually a big email thread that we're talking about right now, is what to do with these status bars and where they're going to go. So you'll see probably throughout the game development cycle changes to them. Currently, we just haven't nailed down something that we are proud of yet, or something that we really like to show as a final piece of the status bar. So for now, they're not on the HUD, and each one gives a different kind of feel. You know, not having them there versus having them there. So we're learning a lot of things about those status bars.
Yeah, give us your feedback on Reddit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to let us know.
This question goes to kind of the ambiance and the setting of the game. Will we be getting true cities, possibly hundreds of buildings, or just small towns? And that comes from Anthony Jones.
Well, Anthony Jones.
I like that name.
Yeah, hey,
Tony
it's like
Jones.
it's like just like his name. This setting that we're in is kind of like Middletown, USA, America. So this isn't a place where you would find massive hundreds and hundreds of buildings. This is more of a place that you would drive through in a scary town, and it would be that small town that you see that kind of feels like it's kind of like a creepy town. We will have a major town area. But that's not to say that we can't build, you know, multiple residential areas or multiple little industry areas. But I wouldn't try to think that this would be something that looks like Manhattan. You know, this is supposed to be a small town, Middletown, USA type of town.
Strip malls?
So think of that. Strip malls.
Abandoned strip malls.
Abandoned strip malls. Lenny, what else are we going to have? Lenny's right there. What are we going to have?
Come here, Lenny.
He'll tell you what the kind of stuff that you'll see in our town.
Yeah, currently in the town, exactly what he said, strip malls,
fast food chains,
you know,
maybe
factories type of stuff. Yeah, eventually, you know, we're working towards doing like, eventually underground type military bases or stuff like that.
Nice. Well, what about some of the stuff that you sent on the list that you wanted names for? Like those things should be like stuff eventually.
Oh yeah, like supermarkets, grocery stores, you know, department stores, you know.
And those
big stuff.
And when you say department store, people don't think of like a department store. People think of, oh my gosh, that's a massive thing that I can go loot and raid and live in. So,
absolutely. You know, you're thinking of something like, you know, I don't know, like the size of like a Walmart type store or something.
Yeah.
You know, we could have stuff like that, but you know, this is in the early years, so a lot of this mayhem has already happened, like the day of or week of the apocalypse. So a lot of stuff is going to be looted, but that doesn't mean everything's gone.
Yep.
So you can still go in there and possibly find something. You know, it's, you know, you're searching.
Sweet. I love it. And I get to actually place all that stuff in the world, so I want to build your town, Tony, Anthony Jones.
Yeah, we'll need to start a work in progress, for H1Z1.
Fire it up.
And we're referring to our PlanetSide 2 work in progress live stream. Okay, let's see. From John Evermore, how are you handling groups and spawns? How can I find my friends and stay grouped with them?
Currently on this build, you kind of just spawn in the world and you're trying to basically search for your friends. This is another big key point that we found out. There's a big difference between spawning next to somebody and spawning away from someone, because there's a lot of interaction that happens in between finding somebody. It's all about what you give the player when they come in, how to find their friends. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be this abandonment of I have no idea where I am, I have no idea where my friend is, and we just wander aimlessly till we find each other. But if you kind of know where you guys are, that kind of journey of finding each other creates so much drama. But anyways, currently right now it's something we haven't actually nailed down. But right now you'll just spawn in the world, you know, just at a random location.
Yeah, actually, as Adam said, it's something we've talked about quite a bit, and it's actually something that like I'm pretty adamant about personally. This is something that's cool about the way we're developing this game. Is I walk over to Adam and it starts a discussion. Next thing we know, some of us are mad at each other by the end of the conversation, but that's good because we really do feel strongly about certain ways we want the game to be played out. We've all experienced this stuff before in other games, and we want to make sure that we get the best parts of these games, and we have our own take on it. I mean, in the end, like Adam was saying as well, that's really my point of view is, once you spawn into the world, so much happens between you spawning in and having to find your friend, whether that's kilometers, whether that's tens of kilometers, it doesn't matter. Like, there's so much of the story that is developed within the hour or two of you trying to find your friend. Maybe you never find him and you end up with a great story to tell, you die and you find him on the next spawn. But that is a huge part of the game for a lot of people, I know that.
Yeah. And like I was saying before, there's a big difference between knowing where your friend is and then walking to each other and not knowing at all. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes in, is when two people are in separate locations and they have no clue where they are at all. And that part is annoying. But if you know where your friends are and you guys are generally walking towards the same location, trying to find each other, tons of great dramatic action happens, and lots of stories come out of that. And that's a huge part of what we want to have in this game is personal stories.
So Kagorsa wants to know, will there be moon cycles? They have darker and lighter nights during the in-game month and affecting gameplay.
Is that something we can actually do?
What?
Can we have moon cycles? Like the new moons and moons getting darker, lighter? We could actually ask. Let's go ask Favali, right? Doesn't Favali?
Yates.
You want to ask Yates?
Yeah, Yates would be the guy to answer that question.
All right.
See, this is what's great about actually being in the studio is it's not like, sorry, Yates isn't here right now. We can actually just go ambush him in his office, and that's great.
That's
Hey,
the
Bill,
goal
is
for
Bill over
today,
there?
right?
Yes.
I love
He
that
is?
Adam just stood up and the camera guy's like, oh my God, where's it going?
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
We have a question from one of the people.
Yeah.
The question was, is the camera here? Okay. The question was, Sprite, is being able to create a moon cycle something that we can do? So it's like starts off with a full moon and then it goes through and then it's a new moon. So every night it could be a different night, like light out for moonlight. Is that even something that we can actually
It's
make?
possible right now. No.
Right now it's
the
not.
system, yeah, the system right now is it's a little bit more of a static.
Can they hear me?
cycle.
Oh, can they hear Bill? Actually, we should get the roaming camera. Or the roaming mic. Sorry.
Someone do my voice for me.
Yeah. He has a mic on top of there. So
Oh, okay. So the but that guy right there actually going to turn the camera on.
Oh, there you go. See Favali.
That's the guy who's actually going to probably enable that to happen. Is to do him and I both talked about cycles of the moon, weather, cloudy days versus non-cloudy days. So
Sweet.
it's
So
all
it's something that's in that currently is not in the game, but something that is possible.
Oh, yeah,
down the road
yeah,
we can do something like
I
that.
would actually say it's on the list.
Sweet.
Yeah, because the difference, one of the things, if you look at the daytime and day right now, it's like, hey, it's bright, it's cheery, it feels like it's daytime. And one of the things that makes creepy daytime is things like it's overcast or it's foggy. And that's stuff that we want to do. It's just, you don't want every day to be overcast and foggy. I mean, we've made other games here where it's like, hey, here's the place that's depressing. If you don't get a break from it, it kind of overwhelms you.
Exactly. And some of the foggy areas I've seen are awesome.
Yeah.
They look really
totally.
cool.
Yeah, at night right now is where we get real foggy. There's the early morning and then twilight. You get some really good previews of what the fog can do in it.
That's awesome.
I've accidentally turned it on during the day a few times when I was messing with it, and it looks actually awesome in the daytime as well. So.
Nice. Well, Bill, you're a trooper. He has Dayquil on his desk. He's sick and he came in today.
It was full when I got here.
And he's working on your barricade, guys. So you better thank him for that.
Hey, I expect a check.
Yeah, he needs a check. He wants Vix to sponsor him. But he came in. He's not feeling good. He's going to make your feature for you guys. So
hi there. I'm Steve George. I am the producer on H1Z1, and my main duties are to take care of team. So helping them get their builds out on time, tracking their project status, keeping track of all the bugs. It's the dirty work nobody wants to do, but somebody has to do it. So that's me.
And I'm Adam Clegg. I'm a world designer, game designer basically on H1Z1, and I'll be helping Lenny a lot, as you'll find out soon, with building the world. So,
Lenny?
Yeah, I'm Lenny Gullo. I'm one of the designers on H1Z1. Yeah, I'm in charge of the world building, but I also have my hands in NPC, AI, itemization, NPC spawning, a little bit of lots of stuff I get dirty in, and yeah, Adam's going to be helping me build this world, make it great.
sweet. So you had a question?
Yeah.
Or let's give him the mic.
Thank you.
Tell your name and maybe your handle.
Sorry?
Yeah, introduce yourself.
I'm Steven.
Do you have a handle?
Gamer tag,
No.
gamer name.
I'm Stemmer61 on Steam, and I'm an occasional writer for Cryptic Games.
Cool.
So my question is, how have similar games like DayZ and your own games that you've done previously, so PlanetSide and EverQuest informed your decisions on game development so far?
You want?
Yeah, this is really interesting to me because in the past we used to develop games in a way where we design all this content for players to consume, and we would assume we knew exactly what you wanted to consume. So we make these giant projects, and then over the years we'd release this plate to you. I use this a lot, by the way. And some people eat the meat and throw away the vegetables. So then we rewind and we adjust, and then eventually the game becomes very streamlined over time. So now we're just kind of taking a different approach to this. What we're doing is we're trying to make it to where we give you the core game, we'll let you guys interact with us, show us exactly what you want and what you like, what you don't like, and we implement that to the game, and right off the bat we're on a proper railroad track, if you follow what I mean.
Yeah, and to piggyback off what you're saying, we're all gamers here. We love all the games that are out there. It doesn't matter what type of game it is, and we're influenced by any of the games that we play. Just because you don't have to play only survival zombie games to get great ideas from to put into the game, basically is what I'm trying to say. And we've had a lot of help over the last few projects of Free Realms, PlanetSide 2, and EverQuest Landmark even, to help us create this engine to create H1Z1. And the Forge Light engine is really what makes this game shine.
Yeah. In its current state, Forge Light has gone through probably 4 iterations at this point. It started early on with Free Realms and worked its way through Clone Wars.
Basically, we couldn't have this game if we didn't make PlanetSide 2, and we couldn't have PlanetSide 2 if we didn't make Free Realms. You know, it's kind of like a natural progression. And now that we have the engine into a state that we really really like how it is, we can create a ton of games with this engine. So, anybody else have a question?
I have a question.
Oh, here.
Sorry. Thanks. My name's Sandbox Quint from the Sandbox Podcast. My main question is, as this game is going to be a sandbox style game, what are you guys doing in order to kind of foster an economic community as far as trade goes? Banking, is it localized banking? Is there banking at all?
I think a lot of that stuff we haven't really fleshed out, but I have a good idea that the players are going to be creating a lot of their own type of economy based on what they feel is valuable, what's not valuable, things like that. And we want to be able to create lots of different recipes and stuff for people to craft, so they can kind of create their own type of scenarios. Sure. You know, we joke around a lot about Breaking Bad, right? About how funny it would be to be able to do a Breaking Bad scenario, and the play would all be community driven. Like, we don't want it to be a situation where we're telling players to do this. We want players to just do that themselves. So we have to create enough resources and things to craft and things to do, so those economies just happen. That's what we're really looking forward to, kind of like an emergent gameplay sandbox type of game.
Okay. And then as far as like kind of like trade stuff goes, you look at games like EVE Online. Okay, they have all the banking stuff is kind of localized there, because that's kind of a huge thing, is, you know, getting goods from one point of the map to the other and surviving and creating some kind of supply and demand in different areas. Have you guys thought about that as far as, you know, what you plan to do for that? I mean, are you going to have resources that are only attainable on, like, say, the northern side of the map, which you might need in the southern part of the map?
You want to answer this one, Lenny?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were actually talking about this the other day on making certain points of the map to be more important than other areas. So, like, wherever you spawn at, you may see, like, hey, you know, I really want to get over this area because there's some really valuable stuff over there that I can use for not only myself but maybe even my friends, or if I'm part of like a community of people that we have formed. So absolutely, we want to make, you know, things inside the world be much more valuable than others.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Anyone else have a question?
All right, I'm Jason from CrypticGames.com, and I'd like to know if there will be zombies of varying speed, strength, toughness, such as a riot gear zombie, a athletic zombie, a bodybuilder zombie, stuff like that.
I see.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So yeah, that's something that we are actually building the zombie AI system for. We want to, down the road, be able to add in different types of zombies. So like right now we're making the standard walker that you see in any kind of zombie movie or game, anything like that. Then we want to branch out and start making the different types of zombies that you would see, that, you know, just being creative. Like you could have like the big muscular brute type zombie, like maybe he charges you, or he's just really strong at taking down defenses. And then we can even expand even more than that. Like we were talking about the idea of having a zombie evolution. So if a zombie is feeding on somebody, and maybe he, you know, he feeds on enough people, maybe he's getting stronger himself, and over time he gets more powerful.
And his AI could transform along with that.
Exactly.
Because the AI systems.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the zombies will actually progress if they, the longer they stay alive, and if depending on what they're doing in the world. So we're building the system to actually support that. Eventually down the road, we'll have that type of stuff.
Michelle, you want a question? Yeah, we're streaming.
Yeah, how's the water in the game?
Though the water, it's very pure.
I love pure water.
Freshwater lakes.
If you can find
rivers.
it, you know.
Anybody else want a question? All right.
Sure. So are there going to be like events in the game where, say, you just throw thousands of zombies into a certain part of the town and kind of trap people, or anything like that, where there's just like a giant horde, or I don't know, just kind of unique scenarios that happen?
Something that comes up often in our discussion is having themed servers. So the ability to have users vote, let's say on Reddit, say, hey, we'd like to have a server that's just a total zombie swarm, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. So we'll fire up another server just for that particular instance, and we'll let you guys enjoy it for a couple weeks, and then we'll maybe rotate it out for something else.
Yeah, so what, like events that you're talking about where like an event just happens on a server, like we said, we want to make sure the people that are playing on the server that they're playing on, they like to get immersed in it. So maybe that type of player doesn't want an event just firing off, you know, but maybe a different type of server likes that kind of thing. So one of the things that we are planning on doing is airdrops. Yeah. So an airdrop will be a real thing that happens where an airdrop flies over, and you don't know who called it in. Maybe you did, and maybe somebody else did, but everyone, you know, kind of sees it flying over, and then it drops. So now what happens? Like, is the person who called in the airdrop setting up a trap? Is he really in trouble and he needs like resources or something? Or is he just, you know, is it just a wild card airdrop? That type of thing is going to create a lot of awesome scenarios, we think, for players to kind of like see it and make a decision of like, I don't think so, or like, oh, I could probably get this loot right now, and go run over to that area.
On that same point too, we've talked about having airdrops controlled through a mobile application also. Although there's no details yet, but in the future we'd love to be able to have somebody send an order out and it appears on your mobile phone or something, and then you can do something to interact or craft right from there. You know, you're at McDonald's or whatever, and there's like, bam, I just dropped you a med kit.
Yeah, imagine a world where you have your crafting resources and your friend's like, dude, I need some help. Can you send an airdrop for me? And you look at your inventory and you're like, yeah, I probably could, and you send it to them. And then like,
that's cool.
That, I mean, that's down the line type of stuff that we've talked about.
We can talk about that.
Like people can make trick type airdrops. So you looks like a normal airdrop. When you go up there, it's like a trap. It's like opens up the crate and there's a bunch of zombies come pouring out. That'd be pretty funny.
Zombie crate drop.
Yeah. The governor, right?
I make you put your hands up and then I go, thank you, bam.
Yeah.
I want
like that easy kill, right?
I would love it to be like interactive for like people that are watching live streamers. So like pretend you're watching a live stream, like some famous live streamer, and people are like donating airdrops to him to like watch him go or her go run to the airdrop and see what happens. Or just sniping them, stream sniping them.
But going back onto like the other question about hordes and all that, we are actually working on supporting like the AI to be able to respond to things that are happening in the world. So if you have like a base fortified and then all of a sudden everybody starts shooting off their guns, well, zombies far away are going to be like, hey, I hear something. And they're going to start roaming that way. So eventually you might just see like 20, 30, or even 50 zombies just roaming in a direction because you're making a lot of noise out there. Blowing up cars, gas stations, whatever. That's going to attract zombies from far away. Maybe you don't even see them. So we're actually putting that system in, you know, to support that type of event-ish type things.
That's cool.
So Travis from Razer, I actually pulled this question from Twitch chat. So
nice,
merciless guys. Wants to know what's happening with how are barricading? How is that being handled? And server hopping. So building up barricades on a server and then jumping from server to server.
That's something. I'm sure.
Yeah, not much data just yet on server hopping. Barricades. I can tell you that there's a few things we've been working on. You guys have seen some of the screenshots of the barbed wire. Yeah. And we did some tests the other day. Matter of fact, our crafting guy, Paul Carrico, and we had built this awesome funnel in the road. We took walls and we kind of made this giant funnel, and we lined it up with barbed wire. And we just sat there with our torches on, kind of taunting people.
Yeah,
people run, you know.
As of right now, we are actually working today. Like our big point is getting barricades to work on windows and doors.
Yeah, that's our dev feature for today.
That's the feature for today. It's still ongoing right now, and hopefully we'll get something to show you today. But it is one of the features that we will definitely have support in this game, because we want players to be able to barricade up windows and doors and fortify their homes.
And like I said before, if somebody tries to server hop, they're on a different character. It's completely different. Your character's handled on that server. It doesn't mean that you can go somewhere else and just have that barricade up where you were standing before. You know, it's not going to be like that.
That's also, you know, whenever we do different rule sets, it's like, how do we support that? So we're just going to make it where your character is part of that server. If you want to go on the other server, you roll a new character.
Cool. How's it looking on? Good? 3 minutes? Okay, I have to go to the U Lab.
They're all going to go.
Oh, we're all going to U Lab in 3 minutes? 3 minutes. All right, so let's have like one more good question. Do you have one from Twitter, Tony?
Sure.
Or Radar Z? Sorry.
Sure.
Oh, Andrew has a question, our AV guy.
You can collect bottles of water. I don't know if it's been answered yet, but you can collect bottles of water in the game, but there's like fresh lakes and fresh rivers. Can you like gather water from those as well?
We do have dew collectors right now, which is another way of getting water. If you can craft one, you set it up and you come back after a given amount of time, it'll collect the water for you.
And water's a huge part of the game because you get thirsty. So down the road, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry that we're going to have to be able to find multiple systems of getting water, collecting water, getting not just bottled water, but being able to use that to craft into something else or to gain something else.
There's a lot of conversation about the lakes, by the way. We're just lakes aren't on our top priority at the moment, but they will be fairly soon.
You're going to have deployable harvesting stations like Star Wars Galaxies. You can put them out and then go back and collect from that.
For the most part, if you count the animal traps.
Okay.
So you'll craft an animal trap, you set it out there, you'll come back later, it'll be closed, and there'll be a chunk of meat in there for you. Or you put a dew collector out,
or
come back later.
Player who happens to come
or he steals your stuff. Poaching is a big thing, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we're very much aware of the demand for people to want to grief each other, like take their stuff and like roll up on somebody's stuff and be like, oh hey, look at who didn't protect their things well enough, you know. We're definitely very aware of that being a big part of the gameplay that people want, and we enjoy it too. I mean, it's all really fun for us also.
What about the possibility of poisoning? It's like somebody's trap of food, like they don't know and they eat their food and it's poisoned and they die.
That sounds pretty fun.
Good idea.
That's actually a good idea.
Somebody write that one down.
Yeah, somebody write down that one. I think that would be awesome, actually.
I see Steve doing that all over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's why the crafting system in this game is so important, because you can do, you know, to the nth degree of things with crafting. You know, as long as you have the base resources in there, you can then add in a million things that you can do.
Oh, hey, we're back. We really are. We honestly are. I got a few different team members this time. I gotta start paying more attention to the monitors around here. It's been a pretty long day so far, but you guys might recognize a couple of us. I'm Jimmy Wisenhunt. I am sitting next to
Tim Lochner.
What's your Twitter, man?
My Twitter.
Tell us what you do.
Oh, I'm a tools programmer at tlock14.
And your Twitter?
At tlock1. That's what it is. tlock14.
I thought that was the end of it.
No. At tlock14.
All right. And Steve George, once again, a producer on the project.
I am the producer. My Twitter is @SonyShock. Make my phone vibrate, you guys. Come on.
And once again, we have a couple others here. Tom Shank was on the original stream with us.
Hi there.
Let people know who you are and what you do here.
Tom Shank. I'm the technical director, code wrangler, lead of the code team, what you want to call it. That's kind of the way it works. And my Twitter handle is @TomSlick42. You can tweet at me all you want. I might read it, if you're nice.
Yeah. He'll probably answer in some like smart code fancy way.
I'll try to Englishize it.
English, just respond in binary.
That worked,
Take
right?
like 17 messages.
Yeah.
All right, and?
My name's Scott Grotman. I'm a senior software engineer. I have a Twitter account, but you have to learn how to spell my last name first, and that's a bit of a trick.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how to pronounce it. It's like my last name. People mess it up all the time.
Twitter at the end.
Yeah, that's right. We don't have to go through all that stuff. But we're still here answering some. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Do you have something?
No, not
You
yet.
sure?
I'm positive.
All right. Well, make sure you're still tweeting those questions to H1Z1 Design. We have some people, some new people here in the office with some questions, I think. Just tell us your name and your question, sir.
Jared Fruit, Senor Blanco on Twitter, if you want to find me.
I like it.
So I guess, I know that this is very in the early inception of the game, but I always look long term. How is this game continue, and how are you going to continue to feed the community with new content? What's the goal? I mean, I know a lot of this is new, but where's it going to go from here? Where are we going to see this expand? Are you just going to dump the world on us and say, have at it and discover stuff, or are we going to see stuff coming from SOE on this?
This will very much be an iterative process. Like, we're going to keep, we've explained it before, we're kind of growing out from the initial area we are now, which is kind of the Anywhere America. Almost feels like the town I grew up in. I know a couple of the guys around here know that area very well, where it's just, a bunch of trees, towns, not much going on. And then from there, we're going to grow out to where we will provide new content there. It's not just like, here's a world, same objects, have at it. It's very much going to be, this new area provides some new challenges and also some new ways to overcome the old obstacles, like new weapons or whatever.
Yeah. Keep some in mind. This is Sony Online Entertainment. This is what we do. We're able to put out these games, control them, build them into a very large, playable product. So, and we've been doing it for years. That's a start. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
They expect same support that we've seen out of other games. I mean, and more, because honestly, with this game, we're not just throwing in new raids and things. We're throwing in, new parts of the world completely, like whole new areas that'd be hopefully vastly different.
The positive thing to this is, since we're letting users interact with us and kind of help guide the development, is that really everything we put out is going to be thumbs up, hopefully, because everybody's asking for it, and we're giving you exactly what you want. So, I use this example a lot. It's like, hey, we give you a dinner plate and you eat the meat and throw everything else away. Well, we're trying to avoid that. We want you to eat everything we put out there and enjoy it.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so I get that hardcore survival, permadeath. What does that mean for the player? I die a lot. So what does that mean for me? Like, what, do I start with character creation again, and then do I get put somewhere just random in the world, or is there like a spawn point?
Right now, you randomly show up again, and you start out with a new random set of whatever the startup equipment is defined as. So the progression in the game isn't so much like a long-term one-character type thing. The progression is more a personal learning the systems, getting better at the game. It's if you've played a roguelike like FTL or Rogue Legacy or those type of games, it's really an iterative process where the reward is getting better at the game and understanding how to perform well.
And given the persistence of our maps, you can kind of save some of your progress by putting, if you stash some of your items away somewhere where no one else is going to find it, you can kind of save part of your character's progress by going back to those items again after you die.
Assuming nobody else does.
Yeah,
assuming no one else does.
Gets to it first, so
it then belongs to the world.
So there's some risk associated with that, but it at least allows you, a chance to kind of mitigate loss when you're dying and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we have world containers in the world. When you play the game, you'll see them. You can open up cabinets and look for stuff. You can put stuff in those things too, and if nobody else comes by to get it out, you could come by in another character life and pick up the same items.
Just heard Mitch was doing that. I hadn't had any idea.
You squirrel things away and hope nobody discovers it.
That's right. All right, we got any other from the office? Hey, what's going on?
Hi, I'm Aaron. One thing that I don't like about most survival games is KOS, kill on site. Is there something that's going to prevent that to make it more, make people work together more?
I don't think we ever, Tom actually is a big proponent of never using the word like force. You never want to force someone to do something.
It's not really a good thing to do.
We don't want to prevent anyone really from any action other than hacking. But realistically, that possibility will always be there. I think there are ways to encourage players to work together more. I mean, we talked about this actually a couple times so far from some of the questions where as long as the PvE, at least our hopes are, as long as the PvE is difficult enough and requires a certain degree of teamwork, that a new player will be seen as an opportunity to like teach this guy what needs to happen, or at least incentivize once again this new guy to go run through that horde of zombies, and if you just promise him a reward if he survives or something, right? So he's helping you, somewhat synergistic. Who knows? We'll have to see how that plays out.
And a big part of these games is the tension you get from not knowing how other players are going to react. the whole game is really about building tension and putting a lot of weight in your character and not wanting to die because the cost is high.
Yeah.
So you don't want to water down those moments when you're really wondering, what's the best thing to do here? Should I hit this guy in the head with the axe, or should I cooperate? And you're making those decisions all the time.
Yeah, that's the moment when the zombie comes back behind you and just you've decided maybe you'll hit the zombie instead of that guy in front of you. Yeah.
So something I've noticed too is during our play sessions is the first few days it's just a kill fest. Everybody's just shooting each other, being obnoxious. And then as time went on, people gradually, like, let's do some other stuff. And then there's still the killers, Ryan, if you can hear me, that hang on like they gang people. But then there's a lot of people working together. 4 of us jump in a Jeep, we travel around, we scavenger for loot. It turns into a really interesting world. Not everybody is going to be ganking people. There will always be that crowd, but there's also going to be the crowd that teams up and, 4 to 5s.
And keep in mind too, I don't know how familiar you are with like the VoIP system that we're planning on using. It's all going to be proximity, and a lot of it is on the player to try to humanize yourself before they shoot you in the face, right? Like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm new to the game. Bang, that might happen, but who knows?
Thank you.
So there's going to be Jeeps and cars and stuff, right?
Correct.
So do you have to scavenge gas, or is it like unlimited? Or
Right now, you can just drive and drive and drive. But,
so it's unlimited?
Yeah, but definitely cars should be, to maintain a car should be a very difficult thing. We don't want everybody running around in a Jeep. And the number of Jeeps just in the world will be limited to some probably pretty small number. And when you walk up to it the first time, it won't have gas. It may be broken in several ways that you have to go find resources, craft items, repair the Jeep. Running the Jeep is going to cause it durability loss, and you're going to use up your fuel. You're going to have to find solutions to those problems. So it's not going to be jumping the Jeep and you're now God, which is kind of what it is right now. You're just running over everybody. Maintaining a Jeep will be an involved process.
Yeah, so there's actually corn in our game, which is very important crafting item, because from corn you can make what? Ethanol, right? So yeah, we're gonna let people craft their own ethanol for the Jeep, hopefully.
Yeah.
Whiskey too, right?
What's that?
Whiskey as well.
Oh, of course.
That's been brought up several times, yeah. By the president of our company, as a matter of fact.
One of the key things is that balancing things in a game is very important, and one of the hard things to do is to throw 15 different new things in and try and balance those things all together. So what you do is you take the vehicles and you add fuel to it and make sure the fuel balances well, put then the repair in after that. And so there's a set of stages you have to go through to get there.
Yeah.
My name is Giovanni. Some of you guys out there might know me as Viz Gaming. I wanted to say hi to my community. And on top of that, I have a quick question, or actually it's a pretty broad question, so feel free to answer it however you feel. As far as the servers, is there going to be one server that everybody's going to play on and it's going to be a massive map? Or is it going to be something where there's individuals that you can pick when you get in? You say, I want to go to this server, play with my friends. And if it is one server, then would your friends be accessible if you guys had to do it like different tiers and stuff?
Well, we're starting out with groups of servers. So you have a server that's got large numbers of people, hundreds of some sort or thousands, depending on how we set that up, at least as a potential. And as we expand the world out, those servers will get larger and larger and larger. A lot of times, as the game itself grows, what you do is you end up adding more and more servers. In our case, we're growing the world, and so we're adding more people to the server, is the way we're working that out. So it's kind of a different mechanic from what you've seen in the past. We're a massive company, and MMO is lots of people on one server. So we want to go that way. We also talked about having those user servers, player servers, and that involves the community and getting what kind of rule set they would like. And if there's enough people moving in different directions for the rule sets, we'll end up with several different rule sets perhaps. That people will be playing, right? Because that's what they want and that's what they play.
Hi, I'm May. Just a quick question. Is there like a climate change that happens in the world, and is your character vulnerable to those climate changes?
We've talked about that.
There's a lot of discussion on that. I mean, we currently have rain. We have our day-night cycles. We have we're working on cold, right? And yeah, even things, there's a lot of talk about things like natural disasters and stuff, which aren't in the initial plan, but that's all in our big wish list.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something we want. I mean, that's a big part of it is wet plus cold, a bigger deal than wet and humid, right?
Hi, my name is Louis, and my question is, I guess, is there going to be an easy way to report people that, I guess, use exploits like wall breaching and things like that, like when they get behind an object in the game that you're not supposed to? And if there is going to be a way, can it be used by Sony recording and then send it to you guys, tweet it to you guys or something to kind of show the exploits or the people that are exploiting?
We have a lot of information that we store internally on the server, and so having a simple command like you can enter in chat or something that can send us a report saying there's something going on here is generally all we need to try and track those things down. Because we can go and look at our logs, sometimes live, sometimes shortly or shortly thereafter, to try and figure out what people are doing and deciding from there. Right, that's the way it works. Other than that, we don't really talk about the way we deal with exploits.
All right.
Anyone else? I was gonna say we got Reddit too, if you guys.
Well, that actually brings me to another point. I know I don't want to paint you into a corner, but how soon will we see an active forum or an active website where we can go and see all this videos put together instead of going to Reddit and reading 9,000 people's opinions that I don't really care about? I want to hear the important parts.
Well, I mean, are you talking about just somewhere as
like official forums and such, right? Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as we get to that,
or just a web, part connected to H1Z1.
As soon as we get to that launch
or
portion,
even all these live streams that we're seeing, that we can have a chance to check that.
I think as soon as we get to the point where we're going to do the early release, you'll see all that stuff come online, forums, the website, everything. There are, on YouTube, we have a channel, I don't know it off the top of my head, if any of you guys do know it, where all this stuff is being recorded and for replay use.
Hey, Radar, what's our YouTube channel?
YouTube channel, H1Z1.
Oh, it's just H1Z1.
Easy.
How did we get that? Awesome.
Perfect. And then getting into the game, when it comes to, it's semi-hyper-realistic of how that's going to go, but are we still going to have things like friends lists, or when we log into a game, are we going to easily be able to get to our friends that are on there to make it more community-based where we're still able to work together instead of, I'm 300 miles away, I'll get to you there at some point?
Right. Once again, the good news is we're built on the backbone of PlanetSide 2, right? So we have all these social features that are there. They're not being used currently. Tim and some of these other guys, I don't know how familiar you guys are with those particular social systems and tying them into our game, but it can be done. I think a lot of it's come down to what can we do without breaking immersion, without causing any sort of issues with gameplay. We've all had the discussion of, we do, for the most part as a team, think that the traveling portion from you spawn in, getting to your friend, usually comes out with some of the best stories, and that is a big part of the game, and how much we'd want to help a player we're still talking about.
But there are some days
issues there too. If you're having a big fight over some territory against another group of players, and we make it easy for you to jump right to your friends, then you've got more of a deathmatch style, just respawning right back in the fray. So there's a lot to think about before we made it too easy to get right up next to your friends again.
I think we all agree, though, that spawning from your friend in the opposite corner of the map is probably the worst thing in the world, unless you actually choose that. That's potentially an option as well. We actually talked about at one point, I think, with the hardcore, people were saying we really want a hardcore mode. I was like, fine, we'll just give you 10 health and a gun with 1 bullet. Have fun.
That's your last resort bullet,
right?
By the way.
it's whatever you find, right? That's the whole point, and that's another way to play the game as well. We talked about different scenarios like that as well.
The good news is we developed the base of the game, right? All this stuff is really easy to tune. As long as we have the support for all of it already built.
Right.
Any other questions?
Well, Viz introduced himself, I guess I should do. I'm Era Gaming on Twitch. And my question actually is, so we're going to be seeing barricades, potentially. What about, can we do something like, if we have furniture in the room, can we shove it against the door to try to, barricade that way? Is stuff interactable in that kind of way?
That's kind of a physics issue to deal with, and we haven't determined all of the things we want to do. Those are things, we build up. We're talking about the barricade thing right now is one of the things we're doing today. And that's just the first step. And beyond that is how does it interact with the physics world, making sure that it works well for everybody. And it isn't really exploitable in some ways. Because you can barricade yourself into a house, and people pile stuff outside. That's not fun, necessarily. It could be part of your fun, but that's not really
fun for everyone outside.
It would probably, yes. And maybe people on the YouTube channel, they're watching it, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Would it be possible to see crops be affected by animals, like cows for manure and rabbits to eat crops?
Oh, for sure, yeah. So if you're growing some corn, maybe another animal might come and just munch it.
Some crows.
That's very possible with our behavior system we have in the game.
Then we have a great use for that 22 lever action.
Yeah.
It's like rabbit hunting.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the barbed wire. Make corn, put barbed wire around it.
Yeah.
You're set.
You have a whole bunch of dead zombies around your corn.
Yeah.
Scarecrows or zombies.
Right now it does.
The barbed wire will explode the rabbits like it did in Jeep. So.
Pretty much all barbed wire just equals explosion.
Well, there are big fans of explosions in the team, but I think that's not necessarily the way it's going to be functioning.
No, not the plan.
All right, so there's gonna be weather changes, like for it to get colder. Is that gonna affect like the zombies' speed or how they come at you? I mean, are they gonna be slower if it's cold? Like,
We do want that level of interaction.
We
We've
have
talked about this
about,
multiple
yeah.
times, right? Things like cold may be affecting their movement, and maybe wind direction affecting their sense of smell to lock onto you and such. You know, there's a lot of that stuff on our list.
is it gonna affect like the crops too, like where you're stationed at or whatever?
It's a good question.
What do you mean, like you need the proper amount of soil, a type of soil or something?
Like does your corn wither or something when you...
Gonna die.
Oh right, I was about to say, man, I start testing soil. Like, yeah.
That's something we haven't really talked too much about. I mean, it's kind of a topic that really takes a lot of balance because, you know, seasons take a really long time to come around. And if one thing you have to consider is when you're playing the game and you have to log in for a week in the middle of winter, is that really fun? You know, even the day-night cycle is kind of controversial for some people. People like to play during the daytime only or during the nighttime only, and having a quick one or a short one. You know, we talked about having locked 24 hours, you know, locked to your time zone. For some people, that's the fun thing. But if you only get off work at 5 o'clock and you have an hour to play and you always play at dusk, you know, that's kind of bad too. So having it set up so that there's variables for players is very important, and tuning that is very important too.
Yeah, some people might want to be farmers, right? And you know, there are those people, right? They just want to farm and sell crops. So, you know, limiting them to not being able to grow their corn for a week would kind of suck.
Yeah, but it's hardcore.
It is.
Right, hardcore.
Hardcore.
Ah, nice, I like it.
So before we were talking about, like you said, a game mode of being like a hardcore game mode. Now, are there going to be other sorts of game modes that you might think about? Like, for example, there was the COD like zombie where they all come at you from 50 different ways. You have to barricade up the wall and stuff. Are you guys going to add, since there might not be an end game? I don't know if that's the case too, but it's not a level based. So I don't think, is it?
No, not level.
No levels.
So there won't be necessarily an end game. So will you guys add other game modes to branch off of that?
I mean, the stuff that the Mitch has been putting in lately that adds the zombies procedurally based on where players are is a big part of that. I mean, that's actually what came up when we saw that. We're like, so I can have a mode where they just keep coming at me? Yeah, that sounds pretty fun, right? And that, you know, as far as an actual game mode, we haven't talked about specifically game modes. I mean, the thing I suggested was, you know, you can have the option of starting as a fully healthy guy or girl or whatever else is in the game, or you can say, you know, I want a challenge, start me with no health. That's a challenge that you can choose when you come into just a regular game. And we haven't decided how the rule sets are going to be broken up specifically yet.
Yeah, I mean, and we've once again talked about the different rule sets for players that will be able to vote on that sort of thing and have some servers available with those. So maybe one of them is the survival mode, like just a zombie overpopulation server. One of them is more PvP oriented and that sort of thing. But in the end, I mean, the basics of the game pretty much stay the same. Your movement and everything like that.
Yeah, and it's just an additional mode for fun, right? It could be a smaller area you just throw people into.
Yeah. I think we're coming up with just about 1 minute left. I think we have time for on this Q&A. I'm going to see any other quick questions before we jump out.
No, I'll wait till next time.
I gotcha. All right, very cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in for this second Q&A. I don't know what we're going into next. What are we doing next?
You're juggling with dishes on your...
I can't juggle.
Oh, okay.
Don't do that.
A boxing demo.
A boxing demo?
Yeah, you.
No, who am I boxing?
Melee research.
Not the boxing.
Oh, fantastic. This is great. This is great.
Can anybody do the Running Man for us?
No, I can't. No, it's not going to happen.
Tony can.
Tony can do the Running Man?
Tony.
Tony, yeah, come on up.
Do we have any cardboard boxes, or we just get like a break dancer?
I'd be more than willing to watch. That's right. That's right. We still do need a like server variable to flip to just put everyone into like the Thriller dance or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We've animated that multiple
times. If you see it,
here at
it's
the
Jimmy's
company.
fault. I'm saying.
That's right.
Okay, we're gonna go to Mitch. Let me just tell him.
All right, cool. So it looks like we're gonna. Are we still live here? Yeah. Are we? All right, cool. Awesome. One of these days, next time we need earpiece.
Yes.
Yeah, we need it. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be talking to Mitch, I think, here in a little bit, getting more in depth with development, see what's going on throughout the day. We have been looking at, or we have been talking about the barricades, and we really haven't shown much of the development of it just yet. So I would like at some point to check back in with like the animators, for example. They weren't working on barricades, but they worked on a couple other things this morning and kind of show where they ended up by now. I think the wolf may be a lot further along. If we end up getting the time, which we've got 6 hours, I think we have time.
How extensive is the crafting going to be?
Pretty extensive. I mean,
to the point where like you're able to build not quite as extensively as say Landmark, but that same mentality of being able to build to that level, or?
That's the goal. That's the plan. I mean, like, you want to be able to freeform build things. I mean,
Yeah, so if you're talking in terms of digging and things like that, not so
Yeah.
much. But yeah, as far as like a recipe could be 6 components, each with 6 other components, you know, it could tree off very quickly.
So could you build a house or a fortification?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the plan is for fortifications, but maybe not with the flexibility of the land.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't make my perfect arch.
That's right. I mean, yeah, I don't. Voxel, not a thing.
You know what, you can build or you can occupy. There's 2 different ways you can go, right?
Yeah.
Occupying is for those types that just don't want to deal with all the crafting.
That's me. I'm just gonna run around and kill people and. Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with the ONOD?
The ONOD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, are we gonna have ONODs in this game? I mean, I feel like it has to be like a Sony.
The Omid thing? Right?
What?
He like smiles.
I'm totally lost.
You get none of you guys.
No, I have no idea.
Sorry. where he smiles and he's
Give
like.
us an O-nod right here.
Is that an ONOD?
Yeah.
All right. So
he like smiles and looks at the camera, does the eyes, and he's like, yeah.
I mean, I follow the game, but just never seen an ONOD.
I'm sure it doesn't have anything to do with it.
All right, cool. We ready?
Yeah, we
Awesome.
are ready.
Nice.